Mark and Paul here, the two travelers in Mexico, and today we're going to talk about our private health insurance that we recently picked up.
And why we're going to talk about that?
Because you asked for it.
You guys have been asking about private insurance, so we're going to discuss it with you.
So, speaking of health, I'm drinking kombucha.
I'm drinking kombucha, just a different flavor, but we like the stuff, so.
Yeah.
It's a probiotic is what it is. You can make it yourself too.
Yeah. All right.
So what's the name of the insurance that we have, honey?
Seguro.
Seguro is the name of it. It's a private insurance. We went through Adriana, who she's like a broker. She sells different insurances.
She had offered a lot of different plans. Ultimately, we went with one. It's probably kind of expensive, but
maybe in your book, I don't know. Maybe in our book.
Yeah.
For being in Mexico.
We'll see. But you know, it's we'll get to the cost later. First, we'll talk about what the cost covers.
Right. And the other thing is that I want to say is we're both 62. We won't get Medicare until we're 65. And this was just a choice thing that we decided to do. We used to have IMSS for 2 years that we never used.
Right.
And that ran us about, the first time we got it was about $600 each for the year, $550 each, something like that for the year. When we renewed it at 61, that's when it went up. It was about $625 each a year for the whole entire year.
Right.
But again, we never used it. And then our friends Jeff and Kathleen got private insurance. And just on a side note, as you get older, it's more expensive. Jeff and Kathleen's, I don't know that much about their plan, but I'm just going to let you know that they're younger than we are, and their plan ran them $750 each for the year.
Right. And they're in there.
So $1,500.
Well, Kathleen is not quite 50, and Jeff is 51 or 52.
Yeah, he's going to be 52, and
Right.
they got birthdays coming up.
All right. These people.
Sorry, you guys, I shouldn't have told your age to all the subscribers.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. So, what does our insurance cover? And the first question is, my cost covers travel insurance to where or just in the U.S.? And the answer to that is...
Like shaking back and forth. Rocking yourself.
Yeah, I do. Gives me comfort. And it does cover us if we go out of Mexico to the U.S. or
Anywhere that we travel. We
Another
did,
country,
it
yeah.
cost us extra because we got the travel insurance tacked onto it.
yeah, it applies to any country that we visit as a tourist, which means that you won't stay longer than 3 months. And the total coverage is $100,000 in coverage with a $100 deductible. They said if we're going to stay longer than 3 months, they recommended we get traveler's insurance.
Another thing with the travel insurance though, that Adriana told us and Pagel told us was that we have to pay that out of pocket. Whatever our expense is on the
Yeah.
travel insurance, we have to pay that out of pocket.
And then get reimbursed.
And then we'll get reimbursed
So,
once we submit.
Just getting travel insurance up front might be the better way to go. We don't know. We haven't looked into that piece of it yet because we really don't plan on leaving Mexico for the foreseeable future.
The other thing is too, is that when it comes up for the renewal period, we can drop the travel insurance. You know, if we think that we're just gonna stay in Mexico or something like that. For the first year, we decided to go ahead and get it. We thought it would be easier rather than calling and getting it, you know, and blah, blah, blah. This way it's on the policy already.
Yeah. All right. You want to take question number 2?
Number 2, am I covered if an emergency situation such as a car accident, fall or break a bone, heart attack, appendix, gallbladder, blah, blah, blah? And the answer is the insurance applies only for emergencies that put you in life-threatening situations, like a heart attack, appendix, accidents. It's important to say that in these situations, you have to cover the expenses and then the insurance will reimburse you the cost.
Yeah,
So,
but they reimburse, in those cases, it's 100% of the cost.
right, it's 100% of the cost. Okay, number three.
Price out of pocket per hospital admission during the year I have insurance. What is the cost? The cost or payment you have to make when you are admitted to a hospital in Mexico basically varies depending on if it's an accident or an illness.
So the accidents, there's basically no deductible
Right.
on that.
An illness, there is a deductible, which is
It's 1,200, I believe,
it's $1,200 US dollars.
1,200 US dollars, yeah. And you could have multiple of those throughout your whole year coverage. But if it's for an illness rather than an emergency situation, you know, it could be $1,200 per admission.
Yeah,
You know, like Mark, he had his ER visit. We didn't use this insurance because we had just gotten it. And his ER visit was, what was it, like $300 or $400?
$289 is what we figured out US.
Yeah, like a little less than $300. And the vascular surgeon that came into ER that early morning to see him, his fee was $60. So how can you beat that, really? You know.
Yeah,
But then also it says, let's see, the co-insurance, which is generally 10%. In case of an illness, you would pay the deductible, which is the $1,200. This is agreed upon when the policy is contracted. Okay, so ours is $1,200. And what does that mean then in the co-insurance, which is generally 10%?
the co-insurance it's weird. It's kind of almost like the deductible in and of itself, and it's something that they do in Mexico where you have to pay 10% of the total cost.
Up to, I think it's, maximum is
Maximum.
2,500?
$2,500.
Maximum out of pocket would be 2,500.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. It's hard to really understand. And it was hard for them to explain. And anybody that we've talked to in Mexico that has private insurance, they don't really give you a printout. So it's not like in the United States. You could just look at your policy and say, oh, is this covered? And what's my deductible?
Yeah.
Not so much here.
Not that way.
Yeah, you're pretty much relying on what they're telling you, basically. Okay, number 4, what is the maximum amount I will need to pay for hospitalization? Most insurers establish a maximum co-insurance limit. Like we said, ours is $2,500. That applies in case of an expensive disease or something. They're saying like cancer or heart problems.
Yeah, those are just a couple of examples.
Right. So the maximum out of pocket you would pay in case of a long-term illness situation would be your deductible, which is $2,500, but it says plus a maximum of 50,000 pesos, which is, that's 2,500, right?
Right.
Okay, so 2,500.
Plus the 1,200 for the original incident. So maximum you'd be out of pocket is 3,700 US dollars.
Okay. And then in an accident, even though they said that there's no deductible, it says in an accident, the minimum would be 25,000.
Would be, well, it says a maximum would be 50,000 pesos.
50,000 pesos, which is, okay,
2,500
US dollars.
There is no
This
deductible,
says-
but the co-insurance is
Oh,
different.
okay, so there's no deductible, but the most you would be out of for an accident would be 2,500 US dollars or 50,000 pesos.
And an
Okay.
accident also means,
Car accident.
other things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, car accident, but also heart attack, things like
bit
that.
by a dog, you know, you have to go to emergency,
Yeah.
I don't know, something not
Yeah.
good. Can I keep my receipts for doctor's appointments, pharmacy, outpatient visits, ER, and submit those when they total a certain amount and get reimbursed? Here we have to collect all the invoices for consultations, you know, CTs, x-rays, whatever, medication. And when we exceed the value of the deductible, which is $1,200 US dollars, then we can go ahead and submit those to the insurance company for reimbursement. So that's one good thing, really.
Is there a copy of the insurance policy that explains all this in detail? Well, they say that all insurance policies provide policies to their insured that not only describes the general conditions, but also details diseases and what's covered, as well as the requirements for this coverage. Well, we have not received any of that.
No.
We've just gotten information from questioning the gal that sold us the policy, but we haven't.
Adriana.
We have no. I think what you would call official documentation on it.
Right, right. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't do this. We chose to because we're 62, we're in pretty good health, but, you know, what if, right? All that what if situation, we wanted to be covered.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take the last one too, hon?
With each year I renew the insurance policy, will the cost increase with age? And the answer to that is yes.
And it's approximately 15%.
Right.
Okay.
15% per year, which after a few years, that's going to add up.
Yeah, it's going to add up because what we ended up paying, we didn't say at the beginning, but we'll tell you at the end. We ended up paying, it was $2,152.50 each for the year's coverage with also those deductibles that we told you.
Yeah. Now, granted, we had some stuff added on, like the
Travel
traveler's
insurance.
insurance and stuff, and our age affected our premiums.
Right,
And we opted for a higher plan that we could stay on until we were 100, because some of the others we looked at would only cover us until we're 75, as an example.
Right.
And we have to get off that plan and try to get onto some other plan, but insurers are really reluctant to insure people once they get into their 70s.
Right.
And
So-
even EAMS would have been difficult for us after we were 78 years
right.
old.
So that's, you know, something to think about. You know, yeah, it's a 15% increase each year. You know, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do if something catastrophic happens? And then they said that, like, you know, like if you had an ongoing thing, like let's say that you did develop cancer, it would cover you throughout your whole treatment. So you wouldn't have to meet that deductible
Right.
every year.
As long as you continue to
Pay your premium each year.
Each year, yeah.
Right. So I know it's kind of confusing. It's still confusing to us. But, you know, we just wanted to share with you guys. Again, you know, a lot of expats don't do any insurance whatsoever.
Yeah, it's
Some
a
choose
deal.
to do IMSS. One thing about IMSS that I gotta say is talking to some of our Mexican friends here, a lot of them, if they have the opportunity to opt out of IMSS, they do.
They do it.
And they'll get the private insurance
Mhm.
because they've told us some stories.
Yeah, if you're in desperate need of an operation that, you know, life-threatening thing, that might not happen very fast, if at all. And so there were just enough red flags for us to, you know, cancel our EAMS after 2 years and go with private insurance.
Right. And the thing is, you know, when you're hearing that from a local here, where like somebody has IMSS, but yet their husband has private insurance, they go for the private insurance. They'll pay the extra for the spouse or whatever for the private insurance because they just don't want to go with the IMSS. I always thought IMSS would be fine.
Yeah.
But again, you know, that was when we first arrived 2 years ago. And,
And we needed insurance to cover us wherever we were gonna be traveling in Mexico.
right. And in Morelia, we did have the IMSS, and we also had a private insurance, remember?
Yeah,
That we got
that one cost us about $150
each.
a year each. However, it only covered us out of one hospital in Morelia.
Right, exactly, where this one covers us wherever,
Right.
throughout Mexico.
Right.
The one that we did have in Morelia, the private insurance, that one also included, for me, a PAP, a mammogram, physical blood work, and for Mark, it covered like a prostate exam or
Prostate
something.
exam, yeah.
And then the lab.
And a few other things too.
He didn't have to have a mammo.
No. Thankfully, I hear those things hurt.
Nor did he have to have a GYN exam either.
Yeah.
So, but it was pretty reasonable, we thought. And also, if anything ever happened when we were in Morelia, it was called Victoria. And if anything ever happened when we were in Morelia, if we got sick or something like that or something, we were told to go through the ER department, which we did. And I don't think we ever paid a fee, did we?
No, we did not.
No, there was no fee at all, and they took us back right away. It was really good coverage, but again, it was only right there for Morelia.
Right. But if that's your plan when you come to Mexico, if you feel like you're just going to stay in one area,
Yeah,
why not get an insurance like that? You know, it's cheap, you're covered. You know, if you're staying in the same city 90% of the time, you're covered 90% of the time. Then you would just have to be concerned about the other 10% if you're traveling to other places.
now that one on Victoria though, if you were admitted to the hospital, you still paid, but you got like a discount that they gave you. So it wasn't like if you were admitted to ER or needed surgery, it was free. I think you got like a 10 or 20% discount, something like that. And the cool thing about Victoria Hospital in Morelia was what up on the very top. It was like a hotel.
Yeah.
Remember, like the top floors were like hotel for family to stay at. I mean, you had to pay, but it was like you could be there with your loved ones right in the same hospital, which is a very cool idea, I think.
Yeah.
Hello, US, you should do something like that. I thought that was pretty awesome because you don't want to leave your family.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool idea. And then I think on the very top, there was like a pool area or something like that.
Yeah, we never actually went up
No,
there. But
we didn't.
it was interesting for sure. I mean, into Victoria, when you walked in to the reception area, it was, in some ways, it was like walking into the reception area of a hotel.
Yeah,
building,
yeah, it was.
With
It was really
medical
nice.
offices and labs on one side. Small little meeting rooms on the other side where, people could talk to with their patients or clients or whatever. So,
Anyhow, so I know that's kind of sidetracked, but I'm just sharing that with anybody that decides to move to Morelia. That's an option too.
right.
Okay, so one thing that I did want to say that Mark and I were just talking about is that if there was like a ER visit or something and you got admitted, your fee is US dollars. It's $1,200 US dollars plus 10% up to $2,500 out of pocket.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't know whether I did a good job saying that to you guys or not, but so the most you're going to be out is about $2,500. And again, remember, we got the travel insurance for both of us.
Right.
that covers for 3 months being out of the country. And if we wanted to get a supplemental on top of that, you could do that too.
Yeah. And we got a plan that covers that we wouldn't have to try to go out and find a new plan after we turn 75 because it'll, we could keep the plan till we're 100.
Right, and like we said, that was important because a lot of times at 75, it's really hard to find insurance that'll cover you, including IMSS.
Yeah,
So this one went up to 100, right? So if you make it to 100, great, then I
Yeah.
guess you just wing it after 100,
you've been living life good if you make it that far.
right? So I guess you just wing it at that point after 100 with no insurance and
Yeah.
see how life goes. So leave us some comments below. Tell us what you think.
If you have any other questions, leave those below and we'll answer those.
Yeah, we'll try to answer those for you. But, again, $2,153 each for the year. Plus there still is deductibles. It's kind of like, it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
We were really debating on whether to do the private insurance or whether not to do the private insurance, because do you just wing it and, maybe you're out, I don't know, $10,000 for some kind of a surgery, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. I mean, I was told like your appendix, if you didn't have insurance, runs about, I think, this is what I was told, but don't quote me, about 10,000 pesos, about $500 US for your appendix to be removed. So, and there you have it from the two travelers in Mexico
Right.
on private insurance that we got. And as always,
What she did,
bye guys.
I